So for nerdy people like me, there are plenty of cool facts surrounding non-league football. Once you dig into it, there are some really interesting things that you can find out. In this video, we're going to be talking about 10 most interesting non-league geography facts. This is going to relate to the different altitudes of grounds, the different distances, the longest distances, shortest distances, also teams playing in different countries but competing in different countries' league systems. We're going to talk about all of these different things and looking into loads of different interesting facts in this video. This video is sponsored by OneFootball, which is a great way to stay up to date with loads of different information. Although they won't find particularly many nerdy facts on the OneFootball app, there are plenty of other facts and information that you can find out on the app, such as live scores, league tables, fixtures, results, news, transfers, all sorts of different information. So the link to download the app, if you want to, is in the top line of the description. Without any further ado, let's get straight into this top 10 list.
So in non-league football, there are some very long trips. The longest of those in the entirety of non-league is 365 miles, which is travelled when Torquay play Hartlepool. This is only 23 miles less than the longest trip in the entirety of English football, which occurs in League 2 with Plymouth Argyle and Carlisle United. Looking further down into non-league and into regionalised parts of non-league, the longest regionalised trip is in the National League North. Blyth Spartans and Hereford are 278 miles away, which is a crazy long distance for a regionalised league. As for the shortest trips in non-league, the shortest one is between Bedfont Sports and Bedfont and Feltham FC. These two teams are within a stone's throw of Heathrow Airport, and they're within a stone's throw of each other. They're less than 30 metres apart. Bedfont Sports play at the Bedfont Recreation Ground in the Bostik League South Central, which is the 8th tier. The ground is a 3G stadium and has a 3,000 capacity. Compare that to Bedfont and Feltham, who play at the Orchard, which is a 1,200 capacity stadium that is just a standard grass pitch. They play two leagues below in the Compound Counties Division 1, but these two teams played in the same league as recently as the 16-17 season. The two pitches are adjacent to each other, and separating the two pitches is a small piece of land about 30 metres wide, so it's certainly very close, and it means that these two teams are the closest grounds in professional and semi-professional football. Number 8 is the first of the teams on this list that play in one country despite being part of the league system in a different country. This is the New Saints, who play in England but are part of the Welsh league structure. The club represents Llansantiffryd im Meca... no idea. Anyway, it's a team that is in Powys in Wales, just across the English and Welsh border, and then in 2007 they moved to Park Hall, which is in Oswestry in Shropshire. This was because in 2003 the club Total Network Solutions, which is what TNS used to be, merged with Oswestry Town, and these two towns are just 8 miles away from each other, but crucially the English and Welsh border separates them. Park Hall is about 5 miles away from Wales, and this team is dominant in the Welsh Premier League. They've won the league in the previous 8 consecutive seasons. All I can say is maybe the English soil gives them some sort of advantage. In number 7, and sticking with the Welsh theme, we look at Colwyn Bay, who alongside Wrexham, Merthyr Town, Swansea, Cardiff City and Newport County make up the 6 Welsh teams that play in the English league system. But Colwyn Bay now actually have moved back to the Welsh pyramid due to financial reasons. They're finding it harder and harder to compete in the English pyramid structure. They're in the 8th league up until the season that has just finished, the 18-19 season, and they've realised that to compete in that league going forward, they'd have to decrease their budget significantly, and they would rather go back into the Welsh league structure so that they can compete and attract local Welsh players. That's just the decision that they've made. They made a video on it. I'll leave the link up in the cards. They had been in the English league structure since 1984, but now they've gone back to the Welsh system. They've been placed in the 2nd tier. Moving back over to England, we go to number 6, which is Canvey Island, who hold the record for the lowest ground in England. Their ground is actually below sea level, and it's pretty much at the sea anyway. The Prospect Stadium is just a few metres below sea level, and the ground itself is around 50 metres away from the shore. And they may be thinking that this ground is susceptible to flooding from the seawater, but thankfully there are big barriers to stop this from happening. In at number 5 is Buxton, who are believed to play at the highest altitude ground in England. Their ground is 304 metres above sea level, which is around 997 feet. Buxton as a town itself is in Derbyshire, and in terms of altitude, it is the highest market town in England. For number 4 on this list, we move over to the Channel Islands and look at 2 teams that play in the English league system over there. The most notable one is Guernsey, who've been going since 2011. That's when they joined the Combined Counties League Division 1, the 10th tier English football. In their first 2 seasons, they got 2 promotions to get up to the 8th tier, which is where they've been ever since. The club was created to give local players from Guernsey the chance to progress in football, because without moving away from the islands, there isn't any opportunities to get into semi-professional football. The most famous player from Guernsey over the years, Matt Le Tissier, has actually been part of this club since it was formed, and even registered himself as a player during the 12-13 season. He actually made 1 appearance. It's been reported that as part of their package, which means that they're allowed to play in the English league system, they have to pay for 22 members of each opposition team to fly over to Guernsey, as well as paying for their hotel as well. Following on from this success of Guernsey, there has actually been a new team created in the Channel Islands that's going to replicate what Guernsey are doing, or at least try to anyway, and that is on the island of Jersey. So they've got their own football club, which has now been created this year in 2018 and will compete in the Combined Counties Division 1, the same league Guernsey entered. In number 3, we look at another team that plays in a league structure as part of a different country to where their stadium is located, and that is Berwick Rangers. Now, unlike TNS, this isn't a team that has just moved one side of the border to the other. This one has actually been in England, yet playing in the Scottish Football League system for a very long time. Berwick Rangers' ground, Sheffield Park, is 4.2 miles south of the Scottish border. The club from Northumberland play in the Scottish League system as it reduces their travelling distances. They've been affiliated to the Scottish FA since 1905, so this is how it's always been. So if you look at the potential travel distances they'd have to take on if they were to enter the English pyramid, it is 65 miles just to get to Newcastle upon Tyne. They're literally right in the northeast. You can't get any more northeast than Berwick. They played in the Scottish League 2, which is Tier 4 of the Scottish League system, until the end of the 18-19 season. They've now been relegated down to the Lowland Football League, which is Tier 5. They're also the only team in the top 5 tiers in Scottish football that play across the border. Now, in at number 2 is a team that did very similar to Berwick Rangers, but the opposite, it is Gretna FC. They're one of Berwick Rangers' new league opponents in the Lowland Football League for the 1920 season. Gretna, whose ground, Raydale Park, lies just 1 mile across the border on the Scottish side, played in the English amateur and semi-professional leagues from 1947 to 2002. It was in 2002 that they were successfully re-elected into the Scottish League system, and that was where they were until 2008, when the club went bankrupt. Following this, Gretna FC were formed as their Phoenix club, and they have been playing in the Scottish League system ever since. Now into number 1, and this is a team that literally plays both sides of the border technically. It's a very unique one, and it is Chester FC. The Diva Stadium, their home, opened in 1992, and one side of the stadium is on the English side of the England and Wales border, and the other side of the stadium is on the Welsh side. Yes, the border runs through the stadium itself. The address of the offices is in England, so that is the official address of the stadium. So the whole stadium technically is classed as being in England, but in reality, 90% of the stadium is actually in Wales. The entirety of the pitch is in Wales. All of the capacity of the stadium is in Wales. So you would think that it would technically be a Welsh stadium, but it is in fact in England. The border runs down the rear side of the east stand. So literally, if you go to this ground, from when you're in the car park to then going through the turnstiles and into the ground, you're crossing a border, and that is why Chester FC's ground, Diva Stadium, is on the top of this list.
So have it, that is it for this video. Which was the most interesting fact for you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Were there any facts that I missed off on this list that you know of? Let me know them in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to click that like button and also click subscribe as well to stay up to date with loads of different videos throughout the summer and heading into the new 1920 season. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.